Hi, I'm Jamie Catania of Shovel the Sidewalk. We're a marketing firm in Buffalo, New York, building brands and creating advertising for small businesses. And we utilize the power of authentic storytelling. That's why we created Sidewalk Talk. It's a way for business owners, thought leaders, and entrepreneurs to share stories of inspiration, motivation, and education. And on today's episode, I have the owner of Revolver Records, Phil Machemer. Phil, appreciate you being on the show. How's everything going?
Hey, thanks for having me. Things are going well. Everything's going well.
Very good. Very good. So just want to start off with the show. It's all about storytelling and how people, came up with an idea and brought it to life. And with you, you got two record store locations, one on Elmwood and one on Hurdle, correct?
That is right. Yeah, absolutely.
Would love to hear how this idea came about and really where it all came from and where you're at right now.
Sure, man. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big music guy. I got into vinyl probably like at the beginning of this the new wave of vinyl people, vinyl collectors. There are some people that still, are just new to it. But anyway, I've probably been collecting for, I would say almost 15 years. And I didn't have records when I was a kid, but when I got into it, it hit me hard. I got bit by the vinyl bug pretty hard when I was just getting out of high school, I guess. And but yeah, I was a big collector for a long time, and then as I've said many times, to people, if you collect something, you generally become a dealer in some aspect. And so I started selling on eBay, and I sold at record shows, and to friends and things like that. And then it turned into a weekly flea market stand at this place in the Elmwood Village called the Peddler. They do every Saturday. Um, I also, I started setting up. I was like a mobile record shop for several years, and I sold out of my garage as well. It was like by appointment. People would come and take a look at my garage. And then eventually I landed on my shop on Hurdle. It was our first location almost 5 years ago, and and then just a few years ago we opened the Elmwood shop. But it was a slow, process, getting into what we do, and but it certainly was worth the wait and worth the work. And yeah, I'm happy with how things are going.
Absolutely, man. I know these things don't happen overnight, and I do like how you brought up when you get into something and you collect something, you kind of fall into that dealer category where it's just like, hey, I come across this rare record, I could trade you, I could sell it to you, and it's just
Right.
it's like it's another network, and that brings me to the point of vinyl in general. People have always liked the physical aspect of music. We had 8-track and cassette. Why vinyl though right now, especially with the past like 5 years? I feel like it's kind of made a little bit of a comeback with CDs kind of disappearing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that's the question, and I talk about this quite a bit. And like I don't know, for somebody that does buy records or who is buying records regularly, it's fairly obvious, but it's kind of hard to put into words. Like I usually use the term, it's like a welcomed inconvenience, and it's this thing that you just love to watch it, and to the physicality of it. It's really, I guess, it's the ultimate physical media. You feel it's like a personal connection to this artwork. I have records next to me here, but to hold this thing and to read it, and to see it and to smell it, like to smell the paper and the record, it's awesome. And for me, I do buy a lot of new records, and I love new music, but like I certainly collect more so vintage records and original pressings of things. And I want things the original way that it was released. I wanted the first pressing. I want the nice copy of the way it came out. I think that like I don't know that there's a better way to experience it. Like this is like it's almost like an artifact. Um, and then to almost I don't, I'm not a young person that is just getting into vinyl, but there are a lot of teenagers that come in buying records, and it's almost like in a contrary aspect. Like the kids that are in their teens, their parents didn't have records and they didn't grow up with that, but it's like I'm doing this because my parents, not deliberately, contrary, but like, they didn't do this, and like my parents don't understand it. So, this is, something that I'm gonna, be into. And um, I think it's just, there's people that dig physical media. They want to own the things that they love, and there's a lot of people that don't care. They just want to have it on Spotify or whatever, and that's fine too. But when I love an album, a new record, if I hear something that I want to own it, and that's I feel that there's a lot of people that feel the same way.
I think there's also an excitement when you don't know what to expect with the record. So like for me, I like creating music, producing music, and when I'm searching for records, the art is what draws my eye. If I don't, know who the artist is, if I've never heard of the album. So the art to me, I think is the biggest thing. And I remember I think in a past conversation you were talking about like how records have like different colors and stuff on that.
Right, right.
Do you come across those that much, like those rare records that whether it's clear, red, blue, like do you see those a lot, or is that
Sure, sure.
really rare?
No, I mean, with vintage records, it's a lot less common. It wasn't, 99% of vintage records are black vinyl. Um, Nowadays, it's really common. Like most pressings are, I wouldn't say most, but maybe half of the records are on colored vinyl, or there's a version that you could buy, whether it's what they call indie exclusive, which is something that you could only buy in an indie record shop, or they'll have like the band will sell an exclusive copy on their website. Um, that's on a colored record. But yeah, with as far as vintage records go, it's not nearly as common. So a lot of people who they'll sell me their record collections, and they'll say, "Oh, this is a blue one," and it's like something that's worth $5. They'll think it's worth a fortune. But it's not necessarily worth more or anything like that if it has a colored record. But it is fun to see some vintage records that decide to go with a different color. But yeah, for some reason they just weren't that creative with it back then. I don't know. Now it's like I said, they get crazy swirls and splatters, and they get really creative with the naming of the different colors, and it's a big deal. Like there's some people that are like, I don't want to buy it because I want the colored vinyl version. I really, I don't want the black one. I want the color. And they'll like hold off on buying the record because they think that they want to get the colored one. But it's definitely become a collectible aspect of the of the field.
For sure. Yeah, it's fun having that like exclusivity factor, being
Yeah.
like the first one to have something or just kind of like holding off on it. What do you recommend for somebody that, is watching or listening to this right now? They have no idea about anything when it comes to vinyl, what to look for. They don't have the right setup. What would your advice be for that person that's like ready to go? What's the first thing that you would recommend for them?
Yeah, I mean, I guess typically when people do come in and they're very new, and it's always exciting, for them. Oh, this is the first shop I've been to, or I've just started collecting this week, and um, obviously people are going to go with what they know, and which is totally cool. And I feel like you could come to a shop 10 times before you, but have you run out of things to buy that you know. But I feel like the biggest advice I would give is just be open minded. Like to me, a big aspect of this collectible and this world is learning about music. And that 15 years ago when I first started collecting records, yeah, I was going to the flea markets and buying Beatles and Doors and Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and all that stuff, like everyone does when they first start. But then I didn't. The one day I go and then they don't have anything I know, and the guy's like, "Oh, you should check out this jazz record." I'm like, I've never listened to jazz on my own in my life at that point, and now I love it. And I mean, I'm not the biggest jazz head around, but there are people that take a 90-degree turn, start listening to something completely different, and now they're all about it. And I think that's awesome. I think, like I said, keep an open mind. Certainly talk to people about it. There's like some local vinyl groups on Facebook that are really cool, and people are very helpful and kind, about listening and encouraging people to listen to new music. But that's really what it's about. I feel like the saying is like, when someone comes in, I always ask, "Hey, let me know if there's anything I can help you find." or whatever. But if like if you're looking, if they say if you're looking for something specific, that's the wrong answer. You know, the right answer is coming in there with an open mind and flip through and take some time if you have it, and just find something you want to hear. You know, and or maybe you don't know or whatever, and that's the right answer is, oh, I don't know what I'm looking for, I'm just here to dig. You know, that's the right answer. But like I said, keep an open mind, and yeah, I mean, you feel free to make a few mistakes. It's not the end of the world if you buy a record that you don't love. You know, you can usually trade it or sell it online or whatever, or trade it back in. um, it's not the end of the world, or just hang on to it. You may dig it some other time, or whatever. But um, yeah, I would say keep an open mind. It's definitely important to check out some new stuff.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I think that's the fun in it, is not knowing what to expect, not really having an end goal, and just kind of letting, your senses kind of take over and randomly find. And I love how you brought up too, it's an opportunity for people to kind of go a different path when it comes to music. Maybe they put off and we're a little bit biased, where they're like, I don't like country, or I don't like rock, or whatever genre it might be. And then that one record that they put on kind of changes their whole outlook on a
Yeah,
whole
right.
genre of music. Um,
That's happened many times where I've like I would never say I like country, but like I'm like 15 years ago I would never have said that, but now it's like, man, there's some really killer stuff out there, and it's just there's I don't know. I always hate when people say, especially going the opposite way too, where like a lot of older folks that'll come in and, oh, there's nothing good that's new. It's like, man, you just haven't heard the good new stuff. There's some great new stuff out there. I mean, each week there's new albums that come out. You just it's not on your radar. It's not, and it's okay. I mean, a lot of people are kind of stuck in their time period, and whatever. A lot of people do that, and that's cool. But I think it's really important to check out new stuff. I feel like there's just a lot of cool, interesting, you can hear the influence of this, influence of that, and they're kind of melding that stuff together. I mean, that's how arts works for centuries. I mean, these people took from painting and whatever, like they use Renaissance painting and Impressionist and whatever, and kind of meld this kind of stuff together. I don't know. It's very cool. I love it.
Absolutely. That's what art's all about, is just taking influence from elsewhere and kind of combining and add your own twist. It all makes
Absolutely.
sense. Music and arts all together. With people that are, interested in coming to the shop, what are some of the ways that they can, get a record from you? I know that they're still kind of concerned during the time of this recording. We're living through a pandemic, COVID-19 right now. What are you offering for people that might be like a little skeptical with going into the store?
Yeah, I mean, we're open, um, and we are taking precautions, that are necessary. Obviously, here in New York, it's everyone's still wearing masks everywhere they go. Inside the store, got to wear a mask. With several signs that say that. People have tried to come in without them, and we promptly say, "Hey, bud, you got to put on your mask." And some people are kind of meh about it, but most people are totally cool and they understand the way it works. We've got a hand sanitizer available at the door of each shop. We encourage people to use that before and then after they leave, if they, if they like. Um, and we also encourage people to social distance. We've limited the number of people that can be in the shops. Um, you know, they say they want you to do half of your occupancy, but I've done much less than that just to be safe about it. Um, and Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to be safe. I'm also still offering, curbside pickup for people who would like to do that instead of coming in the shop. We have an online store that people can buy directly through, or they can contact us, call the shop, buy it over the phone, and come pick it up. We're also delivering still within 5 miles of either shop. And what was the other thing? We're doing. Well, mail. Duh, you can buy it through the mail. You can ship. It's cheap to ship records. We send hundreds of things out. Every month. But yeah, we're keeping it safe. So far it's been pretty cool. Everyone's been pretty respectful. We haven't had any real crazy issues yet, and we have the barriers and stuff at the register, so you don't have to be face to face with people, and um, you know just keeping it cool. It's been pretty awesome so far. Fortunately, here in Erie County, um, the numbers are very, very low. I know that there's other places in the country where it's going up. Numbers are going up. Here, we're down to, seemingly a few dozen cases of COVID in all of Erie County in Western New York. And if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I just read that the other day. But you know, I think, but because people are taking these precautions and continue to do so, even though the numbers are still very low, we're gonna play it safe, and it's been going pretty well so far. It's been very, very busy since we opened. People have been excited to be out and shopping again. Everyone's been, oh man, I've just been sitting at the house. I've just it feels good to come in and dig again. I've explained what we do, and the shop is like, you know if you go to work all day, you're working for someone else, or you have a family and you're providing for your family and working at your house, whatever. Like, searching for records it's something you do for yourself. It's almost like I don't want to say selfish, but without a better word to use, I would say that, like, you're digging, you're looking, you're spending your own time, you're looking for something that you want to add to your collection. And it's just, people get lost in it. I love seeing that when people are like, man, they've been there for 2 hours and they don't even blink, and they got a big stack of records, and they're like, this is what I want to do today. Like, I can really relate to that. There's days where I need to do something. I want to pick what happens, and I think that's why people really love it, and they're just excited to be in there and digging around and making their own selections. This is something I'm choosing. I might not have gotten to choose, some things this week because I have a family or I have a job, but this is what I'm choosing to do. And I'm choosing, to really enjoy myself. And so I'm happy to be able to be open again. It's been pretty great.
Absolutely. And I can vouch for that. It's a very therapeutic experience, being able to search and just kind of getting lost in time, and time is just irrelevant at that point. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%.
It's for you. It's like you're gathering your own taste. It's not like, I mean, unless you're buying a gift for somebody or something like that. But if you're in there, you're buying for yourself. And I think I mean, sometimes you need to do that. I don't do enough of that myself. I don't buy a lot of things for myself. I mean, I buy records sometimes, but, like, sometimes you need to spoil yourself. And this is one way that people like to do it. So.
Absolutely. Well, we're about to wrap it up in a second. I got one last question for you. For those right now who, whether they're, in college, they're not in their career yet, or somebody that, is looking to start their own business, what would be your recommendation for those that are looking to take that entrepreneurial path?
Cool. I've said this a bunch of times too, where people, they just need to be prepared. I always hear, and see small businesses that they jump into it, and they don't really have a local presence already, and they just go into it, and they might have a passion for what they're doing, for sure, but they don't really have a good business sense. And that's something that, you might, I don't want to say, you can certainly learn it, but there's some people that don't have that inherently. And, I would say do it for a while, on a small level. Like, not everybody has the exact opportunity that I had, to be able to start from a really small level, just selling a few things here and there, and then building very slowly. Not everybody has, whatever, 6, 7 years that I had to build the business. But even just taking a year and doing an online business of what you're going to do, and getting a really good idea of the market, and what, like, I see people do even the record store thing, where, like, they might not have so much experience, and they open the shop, and it's not going particularly the way they expected it. Well, you have to have experience doing this, and that goes for anything, whether you're selling baseball cards or collectibles or toys or any of that. Like I said, learning the business, learning the market, is really important. And jumping into it too early could be a disaster. And like I said, I've seen it dozens of times. People I know personally, um, you know, eh, you know, I think that's really the way to go. You have to really become immersed in it. Um, make it. If you want it to become your job, it has to be your job, or at least part of your job. You know what I mean? You can't just, okay, tomorrow I'm now a business owner. I'm gonna continue to do it. It just, you have to be prepared, and have a good idea of what's going on. Know your product and know your area. Why did you choose this area to open the business? You know, it, not to say everyone has to be on Elmwood or Hurdle like my shops or anything like that. It doesn't make sense. If I was doing a different kind of business, I might be somewhere else. But certainly do it on some level before jumping into it.
Awesome. Bill, I appreciate you being on the show. This was great. Thank you for the advice. Thank you for your time, and good luck with everything. Congrats on that second location. I know that was more recently going on to Elmwood. So
Yeah, absolutely.
congrats all around. Glad everything's going well.
Thanks so much for having me, dude. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You could stream all of our episodes by visiting shovelthesidewalk.com and clicking the Sidewalk Talk tab. If you or somebody you know would like to be a guest, there's a simple form that you could fill out, and we'll get back to you right away. Thank you again for listening. Thank you for watching. This has been Sidewalk Talk.